Welcome to ACT Fitness Radio, the podcast teaching you to aspire, conquer, and transform your body and mind. Here's your host, Adam Castro.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm here with Jaylene.
Hi.
And you are listening to ACT Fitness Radio.
Yeah.
Coming to you from Whittier, California. And we have an awesome episode for you today, an awesome treat. We are talking with Jazmin Fernandez.
She is so beautiful. She's so wonderful to talk to, and just listening to her voice makes you want to instantly be relaxed.
Absolutely. She's a yoga instructor with the Beehive in Whittier. Mm-hmm. And she's also doing yoga over at Downey Yoga.
In Downey.
Absolutely. And also another...
Oh, and soon to be instructing in Uptown Whittier, so to be announced.
Yeah, so she's doing a lot of things for the community,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to hear all about her journey and how she started doing yoga. We're going to be talking about natural remedies and also how you can get involved with yoga here in our community of Whittier with Jazmin as well. So we're excited for you to hear this episode, and here you go. So, you just got back from a trip. Where did you go?
I went to Puerto Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta? Yeah.
Awesome. Where is that?
It's 3 hours flight. It's in Mexico, but it's like a 3-hour flight down to the south west part of Mexico.
Were you going with a group of friends or family, or was it like just I just want to go to Mexico and just have fun?
It was for my friend Bianca, who I met when I was 9, and we've been really close ever since, and she's getting married.
Okay.
And so it was her bachelorette party, and so we all went together, and we didn't know we were all going to be on the same plane until we basically got to the airport, and then we realized we're all going to be on the same plane.
That's so cool.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, what a way to spend a bachelorette party. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So is it near inland, or is it closer to the beach area?
It's close to the beach. It's right on the beach. It's like a bay.
I guess you wouldn't have a bachelorette party not at the beach, right?
Yeah.
That's probably a better place.
If you're going to do a bachelorette party, beach is absolutely necessary. Or in another country.
So, as a yoga instructor, what were some of the things that you noticed going out into a different country and a different environment than what we have here? What were some of the things that you were noticing and seeing as you were just placing yourself in a different environment?
One of the things I made sure to do for myself, to keep myself feeling good, was I brought myself a container of sauteed vegetables and tofu for my flight.
Oh,
so
nice.
that I didn't want to feel like any discomfort in my body from traveling, so I made sure to bring that, and also some charcoal pills to help me pull out toxins or any sort of things my body wasn't used to. And from there, it was really beautiful because I'm not sure if it's just because I'm a yoga teacher that I noticed this, and maybe as like a woman, but I saw a lot of ladies in Mexico wearing t-shirts that were saying like femme power or girl power or like women power, and I was like, this is awesome. I feel like everyone is on the same page, even like in places that you would have never expected.
Yeah.
So, are the women pretty dominant there? Aside from, what's proclaimed on their t-shirts, are they just pretty dominant there?
It seemed mostly it was the men who were dominant.
Okay.
But the women are the ones I feel that are the caretakers. And so in a sense they are the dominant ones because they take care of the men. And so I feel that's where I saw the dominance in the women.
It's my big fat Greek wedding where the man may be the head of the household in some families, but the mother's the neck, right? It controls where the head goes and what the head does.
The men are probably, they bring home the bacon, but the women cook the bacon, so...
I don't think women understand how much power that they actually have. I mean, even in the relationship between men and women, I feel like if both parties are respectful of each other, equally, I think still the women have more power because it's harder to say no to you than I think it is for
So sweet.
So was it just beautiful there?
Yes.
I saw some of the pictures you posted on Instagram. Oh my goodness, it looked really pretty. What was your favorite part of the trip?
My favorite part of the trip, there was 2 parts that were my favorite part. One was our first beach day, and that day was so much fun because my friend's cousin, we started doing yoga together on the beach, so I started to adjust her and help her stretch out her hamstrings and her back. Then I taught her how to do it to me, and so we were doing it back and forth. Then she taught me how to do a handstand, and we were just playing on the beach doing yoga, and I was having just so much fun. I had some breakthrough yoga moments that I've been working on. I haven't been able to do the splits or handstand. And over there, I was doing the splits and the handstand at the same time. I'm like, what is happening? Is it just cool? Mexico?
Yeah. What better environment than the beach of Mexico and than a Mexican beach there to do yoga? I mean, you've got the water as just a sound that's calming. You've got the sun that's beating on you. You've got the wind. You've got just the environment all itself. You feeling like you are a different person, being in a different country in a different environment. I'm just imagining you saying that you did the splits. I'm imagining the sand helping you to get that extra range of motion. It seems like that would be the perfect environment to do yoga.
What was the weather like while you were over there?
It was beautiful. It's just perfect. Slightly breezy and warm, and just ocean air.
The whole time?
And sunny. Yeah.
That's awesome. With
an occasion gloomy, overcast at the right moment, and then it would just go away, and then we would go play in the sun.
Did you get a chance to? I guess it's not stargazing, but sky gazing, where you just look at the sky.
Not this time around. No stars this time around.
That's something that we used to do.
Yeah.
That we haven't done in a really long time. I feel like our listeners are going to get a different side of us today. We usually do. We just had a strength and conditioning coach as a guest this last episode, so it's nice to go on this other side of what are the things that calm the body, and what are the things that you can naturally do to just let go of whatever stress is weighing on you. And one of those things is just kind of looking up and realizing how small you are and how small the stresses on your life are compared to this big beautiful sky and big beautiful stars, and that's something we used to do. We haven't done as much anymore. We got to start doing that again.
We used to go to school in Santa Clarita, and the stars were just so prominent there. So they're so big and so bright and so pretty. And the school that we went to was on a hill, so I think we got a little better shot of the stars and even the sunset. So.
And it did happen to be in an area where there wasn't too much city stuff going on.
Yeah, not too many lights.
Yeah,
right.
So it did a great job of not having too many lights from down here to keep us from seeing the stars up there. So
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Well, when you approach yoga in general, what are some of the things that you go into yoga with? What kind of mindset do you have as you're beginning doing yoga in whatever environment?
My mindset is to accept myself in that moment, and so whatever my thoughts are, however my mind is at the moment, I will acknowledge it and accept it and not try to change it. So then I feel accepted by myself. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I will tune into my body, notice how my breath is, if it's shallow, if it's deep, and then just let it be however it is, and then notice my body and have the intention to accept my body for how it is that day, and know that what I'm doing, it's good for me. It's it's bringing me closer to myself.
Yeah.
So it's bringing me closer to my truth, which is bringing me closer to a life that I truly want to live and truly will be happy in, and be able to use my potential in the best ways. And so I sort of try to always have that intention and hold that space for myself when I'm doing yoga.
No, that is actually really amazing because, you know, it seems like the industry of fitness is going towards like more information. Like, how can we get more of these things on our body? And I'm pointing at my wristwatch. How can we get more like wrist-worn information? How many steps are you doing? What's your heart rate? All these things, and it can be deceiving because we can try to force something to happen that's not meant to happen today. You know, people can go into the gym thinking that they have to push themselves because it's just that day scheduled to do this workout. When instead your heart rate is going to tell you something else. Maybe your body is going to tell you something else. The stress that's on you that day may be telling you something else. And for you to take inventory of all those things before you even start or as you're starting is something that more people need to be doing. Absolutely. Yeah,
agreed. So tell us how long you've been both practicing and teaching yoga.
Okay, so I'm 25 years old now. And so I started doing yoga when I was 18, and I just walked into a yoga studio. I was really not feeling well at the time. I had some stomach issues, and I had this intuitive feeling, this loud voice in me that said, try yoga, Jazmin. And then I never knew what it was, but I was like, go to yoga, I think it's going to be for you. And it was. It made me feel really happy. And so once I started doing yoga, I started to feel a lot better in my body, and a lot of the symptoms I was feeling from having like inflammation in my stomach began to go down, and it was amazing me. And I began to sort of just journal how my body was feeling as I did yoga, and I tried to keep it really consistent. And so now it's been 7 years, and I've gone like a lot closer with my body and myself. And also I've been able to teach. I feel better from that place, from understanding the struggles that I went through and how I began and how it's come so far. And I've been teaching now for, I believe, 3 years. 3 to 4 years.
So what exactly was the inflammation, or do you know exactly what the inflammation was going on in your stomach, and when did that start?
It started suddenly when I was 17, and before then I didn't have any issues, and when I was 17 I started to have just a lot of indigestion, like extreme indigestion, and I didn't know what to do. The doctors told me just to take steroids, and they were really expensive. And I asked, like, what should I be eating? Should I change how I eat? And then they said, no, just take these steroids, eat whatever you need to eat, and that you'll be okay. And I realized in that moment I can't trust this person with my body, because if I'm able, whatever I intake, I'm sure it has an effect on how my body decides to assimilate it.
Absolutely.
And so I chose to go with my intuition and create my own route and read books based off of healing yourself, and I began yoga, and I fell in love with the ancient tradition of Ayurvedic medicine that yoga stems from, which is like an old Indian, like it's like 4,000 years old. It's like a system of healing with herbs and meditation and yoga and so much more, and I use that in a sense as my guide to like help bring myself back into balance.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. So give us an example of, like, if you do start to feel inflammation, what are the steps that you would start to take to kind of attack that inflammation? Maybe not attack, but, you know, to keep that inflammation in check and bring it down.
Yeah.
I'll start with my morning routine. So I'll just kind of slow down my life and take deeper breaths to realize if I'm being stressed, if whatever is stressing me out, if I'm able to manage it so I can relieve stress in that area of my life. Then I will make sure I'm drinking at least like 60 to 100 ounces of water a day. And then I begin to make sure that most of my meals are high in vegetables and in protein. And from there, like, I'll drink a lot of ginger tea, a lot of turmeric, lemon water. I'll take probiotics, prebiotics, enzymes, and just try to slow down my yoga practice and make it more nurturing.
Did the doctors by chance send you to specialists, or what kind of specialists did you see?
I forget what they're called, but I want to say they're
gastrology.
Yeah.
Gastrology or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying that wrong. I don't even.
And that person, that doctor didn't help me at all. He helps me by giving me some information, but none of the information I ever got from my Western doctors ever helped me or made me feel better. It almost just gave me anxiety, and it made me feel like, who is really going to help me? And I realized the only person who's really going to help me is myself. So I decided to do that.
The things in your body that will just like we talked about before we started recording, like the things that you can intake in your body, the natural substances that will actually help the body to do what it naturally needs to do to heal itself. And it's really, really unfortunate. We've said in multiple episodes before that it seems like a lot of doctors are so concerned with the symptoms, which is not bad. Like some symptoms need to be handled right away. But it doesn't fix the root problem. It doesn't actually fix the reasons why those things come up, and it's not gonna make them stop. And that's where they'll just put you in the cycle of, okay, then we need more medication, and then more this, and less things that are actually going to fix the root inflammation, the root problem.
And I think it's so incredible that you figured all of this out young. Like, you were asking these doctors questions that most people, young or older, ask the doctors. They're just like, okay, whatever's going to give me that quick fix to resolve the issue now. Did you take any of the steroids, or?
I did in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
I would say about for 6 months, and then I just told myself, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to heal myself. I told myself my body could create something, it can also destroy it. Yeah. And so then if my body could all of a sudden decide that it was in balance, then it could also bring itself back into balance. And with that philosophy, I decided just to follow it. And then I read this one line in this book I read called Patient Heal Thyself. And it said, basically, it helped me realize that the earth that we live in, it's designed to help us thrive. And so if I'm not feeling good in a certain way, or if I'm not feeling well, there's something on this earth that's going to help me that came from nature. And so I can just go in that direction, and eventually I will find what it is I need to make myself feel better.
And so unfortunate that people will not look to nature and not look to food and not look to the things that they are constantly in relationship with every single day. No one can deny that they are in an environment where the sun may go onto them, and they're stepping out into air, they're stepping out onto the ground, and they're putting food into their body, and they're putting either good food or bad food into their body. Everyone has a relationship with the environment or with food, and instead of fixing that, they'll go to some pill, they'll go to some doctor that's going to send them to some pill or some steroid or something. Yeah. And when they haven't really fixed what is going to matter most, which is having a good relationship with food, having a good relationship with their environment, and those are the things that bring the most benefit, as opposed to taking the pills, in which you probably found, just as all of us have, growing up in a culture of just take a Motrin, or just take a Tylenol, take a this.
A suppressant.
Yeah, and the symptoms go down, but then you end up with all these stomach issues, you end up with another host of issues that don't bring you wellness, that don't bring you back to a closer relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
But did you feel, what were some of the negative responses that your body was giving when you were taking those steroids that they were giving you?
I wasn't feeling any better. They weren't making me feel better, and so I was really bloated at the time.
I was gonna say, did you experience being bloated?
Extreme bloating, and just extreme indigestion on both ends of the spectrum. And so I was like, why am I having my parents pay this much for this medicine for me when this medicine isn't helping me, and I don't trust a doctor who even made the prescription for it. So how about I take it into my own hands, and I help my parents, and I help myself too.
And what did you do after that? So what steps did you take right after that?
I did a regimen, and basically I started to oil pool first thing in the morning. I started to like make my life really relaxed at this moment because my main focus was healing. So I didn't do anything else at this time but heal. And so I would wake up and I would put coconut oil in my mouth and oil pool for 20 minutes to draw out toxins from my mouth and my body. And then I would rinse my mouth and I would drink, I'll try to drink like a liter of hot water with lemon.
Okay.
And then I would take
a liter of hot water with lemon. Wow.
I'll take a shot of aloe vera juice. And then after that I would take my probiotic, and I wouldn't drink coffee. And then throughout the whole day I would just drink different teas that I liked, just like herbal teas that I felt like would be good for me. And I tried to stay away from gluten, cheese, and only eat good quality meats. So
when you had decided to do all this regimen, where did you get this regimen from? Was this something that you found online, or was it something a friend introduced to you, or? It
came with, it started in two ways. One was, one day I found out that bananas make you happy, and I was like, no way, like bananas have a chemical in them that make you happy, like if that's possible, then imagine what blueberries can do for me, or like what else am I eating that makes me feel a certain way. So that inspired a whole new way of thinking when I found out that bananas make you happy. And then from there I realized, oh, food is healing, and it has, everything you eat has a property to it that will make you feel either really well or not so well. And then there was this book that some lady recommended to my mom that I read, and it was called Patient Heal Thyself. And it was about a man who basically healed himself with the paleo diet.
Okay.
And I followed a lot of the things that I read from that book.
That's awesome. Oh, that makes me so excited to hear that.
That bananas make people happy.
Yes. You justified my banana addiction. Thank you very much. No.
I don't think I've ever met someone who eats a lot of bananas who wasn't happy, so.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. Or any fruit for that matter.
Fruit for that matter, yeah.
But anyway, no, that makes me so happy because I feel like I've kind of adopted that way of thinking. Like, I am happier when I'm eating certain fruits, or like I noticed sometimes we'll practice intermittent fasting, and sometimes I don't feel so great on it. Like I feel better when I'm eating more throughout the day, and certain foods for that matter. But I feel like I'm crazy sometimes because I'm like, why is it okay that I feel this great? Like, why do I feel this great? Does anybody else feel this great?
Yeah.
And recognizing too, your body needs different things from different foods at different times, you know, like intermittent fasting. Like, we're totally cool with doing intermittent fasting in one period or season of life, and maybe not another season of life. Maybe needing this fruit during this season, and I think that's why, you know, fruits naturally have seasons too.
That's so true, and nature does too.
Yeah,
it's the flow.
I tried to practice that at one point. It was at the beginning of our fitness journey. I was like, hey, I was reading into a seasonal eating, and I'm like, hey, we should practice that. But I wasn't in a place to take it on at that time. But it's good. It's good to do it.
Yeah, that was partially my bad too, because I was like, no, we gotta just eat strawberries all the time. It's like strawberries are like my favorite fruit ever.
We were at the beginning of our fitness journey.
No seasonal fruits. Strawberries. Strawberries make me happy.
Yeah, strawberries and Greek yogurt. So once I found that couple, I think my life changed. So, and then I found out the Greek yogurt has probiotics, and then it's even better. So,
have you found that more women have adopted yoga than men?
Yes.
Now, why do you think that is?
I think the men are just as interested in yoga as women are, and I feel that men probably need it more because women, I feel like naturally, not all women, but I think naturally women are more intuitive and are more connected with their bodies. That's maybe like and that might not be true for everybody, but I think the main reason why men don't do it as much as women is because it takes a certain amount of courage to be like 1 out of 3 men in the yoga room, and so until that changes the ratio, it's difficult to get started.
Yeah.
But it's inspiring when I see like men in my yoga classes and like them creating so much like openness in their chest, and like I love it. I love seeing men like do something that's not, culturally or, normal in society, in our society.
Right.
When I started, yoga first started off with it being mainly only for men in India, and women weren't allowed to do it. So it's come a long way, and so I'm really excited. I think it's really beautiful how it was only for men in India, and here in California or the Western world, it's a woman thing.
Yeah.
And so I think there will be a mesh soon.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think it's beneficial for everyone to do it, but I think men especially, I know men may feel like it's not super masculine to do yoga, which is largely why I think they're a little turned off to it, especially if they are the only man in the room. They're like, feel like, no one is there with them, right? Or they don't have another guy doing it there with them. But I think that it would only bring, it would only help them to be better at what they do want to do. You know what I mean? I mean, anybody for that matter. But
yeah, we incorporate yoga positions in our training, especially as either dynamic exercises for clients or as a warm up or a cool down. And I actually have only been to one actual full yoga session. Actually, no, I've done multiple, but one hot yoga session. Okay, so hot yoga session. I got invited to go and do this, and I thought it was going to be like a 30-minute thing. This was like a 90-minute thing. 90 minutes in a sauna, which is not even recommended as like a thing to do in wellness. And I'm sure that's an extreme side of yoga, but I wasn't told to bring this huge jug of water or anything, but I pushed through 90 minutes of hot yoga, me and 3 guys in the room, and I think you're completely right. Like the amount of courage that you have to have to. I think it's true that women have way more flexibility than men do on a general scale, right? Obviously, there's people who won't fall into that generalization, but most women are going to have better flexibility than men will. And to put yourself out there where you might not do as well as the person standing next to you in all directions of you is such it's sometimes discouraging. But like you said, like when you go into yoga, you have to accept where you are right now. And we try to have that same kind of mentality when you go into the gym. Like, don't go into the gym, don't go into yoga thinking that you are going to magically be at a 3-year level of doing this. You start where you are and you accept who you are, where you're starting, and you just work on yourself. And if everyone is focused on that and being an encouragement to the person next to them, then it facilitates an environment of growth, and it facilitates an environment where you are not just building better range of motion and getting more connected to your body, allowing your body to be capable of better ranges of motion, but you're also just getting a better connection to your own body.
Yeah, no one is responsible other than yourself for going into a room and being so judgmental of yourself and critiquing where you are or are not according to everybody else. That's not the purpose of yoga. It's about where you are. Yeah,
and I think, what do you think about people who kind of go into yoga for like weight loss? Like they want to go in to lose weight. They think it's a fun way to do that. What are some of the things that you might say to someone who comes to you and is like, I want to start doing yoga because I think I need to lose like 10 pounds?
I think that alone is beautiful. I mean, like, if someone wants to lose 10 pounds, I feel like, who am I to say that, like, you losing 10 pounds isn't going to make you feel happy or whatever. But it's not. I think that yoga is so deep in itself that is just the step that will get them into yoga. And then once they are doing yoga, I would imagine and hope that, like, they decide along the way that their body already is beautiful, and from realizing their body is beautiful, that's how they become more comfortable in their own body. And I think the more comfortable you become in your own body, the more beautiful it becomes, because you are happy to be in your body. And I think naturally you'll just lose the weight that your body doesn't need because you're listening to yourself. Maybe you're not overeating anymore, or maybe like you realize you weren't eating the right foods, and now you want to take care of yourself better. And so now you feel more aligned with your highest self.
Yeah, it's amazing how being intuitive can make you lose that weight, or completely be rid of certain habits.
Bad habits, or habits more like addictions.
Addictions,
addictions to sugar or to salt or to carbs, or not to carbs. Okay, that doesn't count. Let's not talk about carbs.
I'm sorry,
carbs.
I didn't mean to talk badly about you.
I think that you're a great healthy habit. Or addiction to eating when you feel a certain way, like reaching for food instead of just tuning inwards. And it's so hard for, I think, as a human, or it's really hard to feel what you're feeling, because sometimes it's uncomfortable, and so we'll try to reach for something that'll distract our mind from what's really going on with how we feel or how we're thinking at that moment. And so, but once we do decide to feel what we're feeling and acknowledge how we are thinking and not judge it, from there, I think that so much transformation can happen, because that's when you start to become in control of really yourself and what you want to do, instead of kind of being controlled by your addictions.
Right.
Yeah. Going into this, I had this thought that I really wanted to bring out, and you can totally steal this from me if you want. But I was thinking about, like, at least my understanding of yoga. And I've seen, like, people trying to bring the best of, like, Pilates and yoga and bodyweight stuff, all for the goal of weight loss, and for bringing down pounds, and just to be that the form of their exercise, right? And I was thinking about how yoga is the focus is not on the weight loss of the body, but the weight loss of the burdens that they feel because of their body.
That's so true.
And if you think about it, so much of the unhealthy habits that people have is because of the stress. They stress eat, or they'll stress over their life, and so they won't get the sleep that they need, or they'll just feel stress and anxiety all throughout the day, and that's going to negatively affect their hormones and make them store on more body fat than they need to. Tension in their body that's keeping them tight and not allowing them to move as efficiently as they should. Like, all of this stress, and what yoga, what weightlifting, just exercise and just being in tune with your body does is it just relieves that weight and that burden of stress on the body. So maybe yoga isn't going to be attacking weight loss of, like, body fat, but it does bring weight loss as far as the burden that people might feel of feeling like they need to lose that weight, like they need to change their body now. They need to do something to make themselves better. Even though the person that they are today is, like you said, is beautiful, is making good decisions today to make themselves healthier, and that's what we try to teach as well, especially in consultations where someone is saying, like, I don't like this, or I think my thighs are too big, or I wish my butt was bigger. Like, we get a lot of aesthetic things thrown at us, and sometimes we have to tell them, like, look, your body may just not be built to look this way, and that's okay. You have to be okay with how you genetically are in your body, and we want to be able to see what that body looks like. What does that body look like when all these things, boom, boom, are healthy? We have a good relationship with food, we have a good relationship with the environment, good relationship with ourselves, good relationship with how we move, and that's what it all comes down to, is just relieving that burden and weight on the body.
Even in yoga and in training and Zumba and dance and whatever other forms any other forms there are of exercise there are out there, I think much like medicine, people use exercise as a way to be a quick fix and get rid of one thing that they want to change about themselves, or multiple things that they want to change about themselves, and that still is not a healthy relationship. It's not doing justice for those things as they are and what they were designed to originally be.
Just going through the motions isn't necessarily gonna help someone get to a healthier place. Like, they have to go through the mindset that you talked about. They have to accept themselves. They have to relieve that tension internally as much as they are externally.
And I definitely don't say that to discourage people from going into those things with those mindsets, because if you do, that's okay. You're there. So
yeah, Yeah. What are some of the things that you've kind of dealt with? Have you seen that in some people, that they'll maybe go through the motions before they really internally accept what yoga is trying to do for them?
Yes. I would say with the people that I know the best, myself and my mom. My mom started doing yoga like 3 years ago, and sometimes she'll be like, or she'll do a pose and she'll be like, she'll be like, I can't go down further. And I'm like, oh, it's okay, Mom. Like, just like stay where you are, and then where you are, just take deep breaths, and eventually you're gonna be there. Just take deep breaths wherever you are and like accept it. And so then I'll help her just like accept where she is, because it's true. Like, once you accept it, then your body softens up and you release the tension of forcing it, and then you actually fall into it quicker.
Oh
Yeah.
Like, there's something amazing about taking a deep breath, and we've seen this when we have clients go through those exercises, where those poses and those positions where we want to stretch out a certain part of the body or stretch out the whole body, and you tell them to take a deep breath in and then a deep breath out, and the body falls into that position that it needs to.
And probably the most relaxed it's ever been, right? Because people are constantly going, constantly stressing, constantly doing. So
Fighting, right?
Fighting
to get that position.
Yeah. There have been, in one of my yoga classes this past week, I was giving an adjustment to one of my students, and he was in half pigeon pose. But I was adjusting him, and just my hands, like, on his back allowed his body to, like, sink about, like, 2 inches deeper into the pose. And I realized, oh my gosh, like, he, like, has no idea that he's holding up so much of his, like, he's tightening up his little muscles in his back, because he doesn't realize that he can actually relax more. Like, just, like, soften your mind. And me just being there allowed him, like, the space to, like, just relax, because someone's right there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was, like, oh, it made me really happy.
It's really special. Well, and touch does a lot of, like you said, being connected with the body. Touch does a lot of things where someone who may have never been touched on their back. You know, it's kind of sad to think about too. But someone who may never have been touched on their back doesn't even know what their back feels like. Doesn't know what that full range of motion feels like, and that tool that we have as instructors is to bring that awareness to that part of the body, to allow them to get that extra range of motion is something that I think as we continue to instruct, we realize that it's just such a useful tool.
Or at least touched in a gentle way, with gentle energy, soft energy, you know, not something quick and aggressive. And
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited. So you instruct yoga. Where do you do your instruction at?
So at the moment, I'm teaching at a studio in Downey. It's called Downey Yoga.
Awesome.
I teach there twice a week, a power flow and a gentle flow. And then also on Sunday mornings, I teach at an organic deli I work at during the week. It's called the Beehive, and it's a really beautiful place. I'm really inspired by the place, by the owner, because he's a pharmacist and also a homeopathic doctor. And he also owns this organic deli next door where they sell herbs and basically natural healing devices. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And so I teach there on Sunday mornings. I set a space for us, and at 8 a.m. it's a donation-based class. And then I basically just want to help the community. I want to make yoga more accessible to people and let them know that it's not out of their reach to have a teacher, because it's so beneficial. I feel like everyone deserves yoga and deserves to have yoga in their life. And so I teach there at 8 a.m. on Sundays.
Awesome. And what's the difference between like a power flow and you said softer flow?
Yeah, the difference is the way I look at it is sort of like yin and yang.
Okay.
And so a gentle flow would be like the yin part. It's the softer, gentle, more deeper breaths, slower pace, and more focused on staying in one pose for a longer period of time, so the body and the mind can really just relax and soften. And then, so it's almost like a stress relief whenever anyone asks. Whenever someone tells me they want to lose weight, I always tell them to go to that class, because I feel that they just need to relax. And I think them relaxing will help their cortisol levels, and naturally they'll probably end up losing weight. And then on the power flow, it's a vinyasa-based class, so it's a higher energy class, and it's more based on strength and balance. And so I love also focusing on strength and balance and pushing your body, because our minds don't realize how capable our bodies are. And so I feel like in those classes, a breakthrough will happen with the students, where they didn't think that they could hold a plank for like 3 minutes, but honestly, like, they can if they just separate themselves from what they're feeling and observe what they're feeling instead of focusing on what's uncomfortable. And so I feel like that teaches them a mental trick with their day-to-day life.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful. I love it. I love it.
And the classes that you do over at the Beehive, is that like a mixture of the two, or is that more of a soft flow?
It's like a mix. It's more of a soft flow. That class, I will just base it on who's in my class. So I'll get a general feeling of who's in my class, and I'll just kind of feel it out and see, like, what do we need today, and I will do that. And it's mostly like a gentle morning sort of flow. Some days it's more gentle than others.
Awesome.
How long have you been working at the Beehive?
I've been working at the Beehive for since November, so I think that's about 6 months now.
What brought you to the Beehive? Were you educated about the doctor prior to getting hired there?
I didn't know about him actually before I got hired, and it's kind of, I feel it's a miracle in my life, because I've always wanted a doctor's guidance to help me in my journey, and I kind of just fell into his guidance in a sense, and I didn't even know that he owned the Beehive, and now I just get to ask him all these questions and get professional answers, and he has a beautiful perspective on medicine, because it's like half Western medicine and the other half is homeopathic medicine, and he's a strong believer in both according to the situation that he's handling. And so I just feel so honored to always have him by my side. I feel like so protected. Like I always have what I need as far as like his advice and his answers.
Well, and it seems like that kind of an environment of making sure that what you are putting into your body is actually natural. It is actually helping you. It is going to be something that's not going to harm you or be this kind of pixie dust that just does nothing, you know? That's the kind of environment that helps you to be that for other people as well. Like if you surround yourself with people, that's why we've appreciated Dr. Woods kind of bringing us in the same way into his circle of mindset. As just this mind for wellness, this mind for health, and not health in the sense of I think a lot of what our culture sees health as is like sports and it's like sports and this intensity when
being really lean.
Yeah, being really lean and this crazy stuff when people don't realize how unhealthy that is for the body and how what a host of products. Like those are the people who are most likely to be on steroids and most likely to be on prescription painkillers and pain relievers and all these things, and how getting that relationship with environment and with the body is really what brings that wellness. So that's awesome you have that. So you said your class is 8 a.m. on Sundays, right?
Yes, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m.
And at the Beehive is in Whittier, right?
Yes, it's located on the corner of Whittier Boulevard and Painter.
Okay, awesome.
Just across the street from Discount Market. I forget what it's called. There's a Big Lots
And for the record, they have the best bacon wrapped scallops I've ever had in my life.
Oh yes, and we use really high quality ingredients, which is amazing. We use like organic vegetables. All the ingredients that we use in the deli are all really high quality. And even our chicken, it's like organic chicken, but it tastes better than all the other organic chickens I ever had. It's so delicious.
And even the best sauteed, garlic infused vegetables I've ever had. So good. And
on my end, they have the Zevia there too, right? They have
yes.
And I talked to
yes.
we talked about how addicted I was to stevia, right? Well, that was part of it. They've got the Zevias there, and I'm kind of addicted to the Zevias.
And the only place we found that sells the small cans individually.
Yeah, individually, so that I'm not
buying a pack.
Yeah, I have a problem when it comes to that. It is sad that even natural things you can take to an unhealthy level.
Yeah, everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. She's looking at me like, dude, you shouldn't be having more than one a week. No. But it's really nice that they have all of those healthy options for people to be able to partake in. And I think that's definitely somewhere that if you're in the Whittier area, definitely go and check that out. And
even if you're not, make the trip.
Even if you're not, make the trip.
It's really worth it.
It is. Yeah.
And I'm sure he's open to also just having a conversation with coming in and whoever's coming in.
It's beautiful. One of the greatest things I admire about Dr. Millman is that if a patient or if a customer ever needs advice on how to lower blood pressure or anything that person needs, we'll call him over from the pharmacy and he'll be there in a minute. I'll be there right away. And he'll just give you advice and kind of give you an understanding of what it is that you're going through.
Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
So important.
This has been an awesome episode that we've had with you, and we're super excited to have you on again and just talk at a deeper level with all this stuff. Where can we find you on social media, and how can, if someone wants to come into the class for Sunday or even for the Downey Yoga, how can they get in contact with you?
They can get in contact with me on either Instagram or by email address. I do everything by email because I think it just works. But on Instagram, my name is Sunflower, so it's SUNNFLOWA, and you can talk to me on there, send me a message. You can find my email address. I'll give it to you guys. You can just tag it underneath the podcast link, and I check both of those very regularly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. So much fun.
We hope you enjoyed that episode.
It was such a pleasure and a joy talking with Jazmin.
So make sure you get in contact with her if you're interested in doing yoga over at the Beehive or in Downey Yoga. And we're going to have all her contact information in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you're updated on new episodes, and give us a 5-star rating and review. And go ahead and visit www.actfitnessacademy.com for more free resources. Take care, you guys.